Wow, these patterns on the Bitcoin chart just confirmed for me a much more bullish scenario going into 2020 and ending the last 2 months of 2019 for Bitcoin. Guys, you're going to want to check this out. Wow, thanks so much for joining me, guys. Thanks so much for coming back. Today I wanted to start off the day with a little Bitcoin update because this is something I'm very intrigued about, and for me, it just reaffirmed a lot more bullishness. There's some stuff I do want to talk about in regards to what we consider manipulation. Guys, I just want to start off by saying as well, even somebody, dumping $100 worth of Bitcoin technically is manipulation. Technically, every buy, sell, every trade in the market is manipulation. So again, this is something that happens in every market. So again, I don't really like using the term manipulation just because it makes us think of, like a few rich fat cats in a back room just, typing on their keyboard, dumping millions and millions of dollars worth of crypto, which is also likely, but I just don't like having that picture in your head when I say manipulation. Technically, everything is manipulation, but guys, this is something I just really am excited to talk about. This entire pattern for me is so bullish, and now comparing that to also different patterns we've seen. If I take away all the indicators, you can see all the patterns we've seen and all of the bounces at key levels we've seen for me is very bullish, and I want to get into detail with this, and it really just reaffirms for me that going into 2020 we're going to be stronger than ever. So that really is the key takeaway from this video. And guys, as always, before we really jump into the TA, because this video in particular is going to be very heavily only Bitcoin TA based. It's probably going to be the only topic in this video. Again, I just really want to delve into this stuff. I just want to say thanks to everyone for commenting, leaving comments, sending messages, like, subscribes. Guys, it's been awesome. Really just getting back into the groove of things. Wow, it's been so much fun. And guys, don't forget, we are on the cusp of potentially doing the biggest giveaway. The last two videos, we have not met the criteria. But guys, we are getting closer and closer each day. And all you have to do to consider yourself entered is leave a like, leave subscribe, leave in the comments Bitcoins equals moist loins, Bitcoin, and as well leave a Tyler TA Bitcoin in the comments, and that's all you need to do. Guys, no hashtags even needed, but feel free to throw in some hashtags. Make it crazy, make it fun, do whatever you want to do. Guys, without any further ado, I just want to jump into this TA. Now, as always, let's start on the bigger picture. Let's look on the weekly chart. So, I've been really studying this macro trend really, and something I do agree with a lot of analysts, specifically my boy Kevin out there. I really like his kind of idea of, structure of the entire market on a macro scale being the very key indicator. I 100% agree with that. He's one of my favorite TA artists out there, without a doubt, guys. So mainly what I want to take a look at is this structure that we've had really ever since the breakout beginning in 2019, that ascending triangle that we were in, that really led to potentially what is now the bottom of the market, where we will never go below this area ever again. We have not even gotten close. We've had some sizable dips in the past few months, but we have not gotten anywhere near these levels. Remember, Bitcoin was all the way down to 3,000, trading between $3,000 and $4,000 for months, really like 6 months. That is quite a lengthy amount of time, and that is quite a low price. This potentially, I think many people agree, this is the bottom of the market. And we'll probably never see a Bitcoin this price again. Even some of the most bearish people are calling for like maybe 7,000, which is over double what the price was down in this range, right? So guys, this, I don't want to jinx anything, but I feel pretty comfortable saying this is the bottom of the Bitcoin market. And really, what does that also mean? Well, the structure of the market really, where Bitcoin would need to stay in between to maintain that structure, I kind of go back to something I've been doing for a while, which is these ascending lines like this. I have them here. I've had these actually since kind of the middle of 2018, so about a year and a half now I've had these lines up. These right here, and then this one also kind of just follows along with it as well. This is kind of like the mega bottom. This is kind of like the healthy range in here, where I'm scribbling. I apologize, I'm not an artist. Where I'm scribbling in here is kind of like the super healthy range that Bitcoin's been trading in for a long time. And here, kind of this range here, is kind of like the critical area where we're going to re-enter bullishness if we break out of. So currently we're still within this range, right? So again, if you can't see the line, it's like this purple one right here. I'll draw a circle around it so you can see that. So that line, maintaining above that is super healthy, in my opinion. A lot of people would agree with that, I would say. Now, if we zoom in, this is on the weekly, you can kind of see a few things here. You can see a weekly huge bounce. This is where that huge bounce was on the 26th of October. Look at this massive bounce right here. So you can see that right here. Okay. And where did it really find that bounce? Not only at the bottom of this trend of the entire market, but also at the bottom of this potential huge bull flag that we've been forming for about 5 months now, dating back to June of 2019. Really amazing stuff, really interesting stuff. So here we have a coalescing, a commingling, a partnership, if you will, of these prices right around this range. Wow, really incredible right here. This is really just exciting stuff. Now, to maintain bullishness, because I'm not bearish at all. Guys, look at this. We maybe have gone down a few percent over the last few days. Let me pull this up. Let's actually just refresh CoinMarketCap. We can just give the most updated information. Look at this. Market's green a little bit today. Really, to me, just as exciting as if we're down 2%. Up 2%, down 2%, really nothing. That's what I consider neutral. That's why I don't panic if the market's down a whole 3% or something like that. It's really not that big of a deal at all. And as well, what we're seeing right now, again, not really that big of a deal either. I don't get super excited when we're up 3%, and I don't get super depressed when we're down 3%. To me, even. We're just dead even. Kind of just neutral. Nothing really is happening. However, when you look at the charts here, and this is where we want to take a little peek and kind of zoom in on the daily here. Let's see here. So this gives us a better picture and just gives us more day-by-day data of this market structure here. You can see, again, this purple line representing kind of like the bottom, hopefully, where we don't want to see ourselves go under. And this actually coalesces perfectly with something I said yesterday in my video, which for me, the absolute bottom we could touch before continuing and just going ballistic in this bull market. The very bottom, in my opinion, would be right around this 7,700 area. As time goes on, it gets closer to that. We're only about a few days away from where the bottom of that could be. But again, this is kind of the ultimate bottom for me. This is a very clear pattern here, and it's converging with the very bottom of this line. So I think there's going to be some really big, this area right here, this is where things get dicey. And again, this is less than a month of data to fill in this circle right here. Okay, this is less than a month of data for this time range to be completed. And I really think if there's going to be any more downside, it has to be within this area. So keep in mind what I'm saying there. If there's going to be more downside, it has to be within the next month, in my opinion. Otherwise, I don't think we're going to be really spending too much time down other than hugging this line. And again, it is possible that we might teeter-totter on this line and go a little bit below it. And again, playing with some support here maybe. You see where these lines, so I could see that also being a very realistic possibility there. But really the key takeaway is we are just condensing so much. We are just consolidating so much. And guys, it's like a pressure cooker. You know what happens when we consolidate more and more and more. Things tend to pop off. Things tend to have massive moves, right? So now I kind of just want to zoom in. With that being said, and with that in your minds there, we're kind of just, everything's culminating in a very big way. And again, keep in mind, this isn't like everything's going to culminate by tomorrow. This is about a month period, beginning like the first week of December, is from now until the first week of December. Again, that's a little less than a month, but pretty much a month. So keep that in mind. And now if we just want to zoom in, we can take a look at like what's actually happening right now. So again, this to me is worst case if we get down here. If we get down to the bottom or the middle, actually, where I have this line, where I have this white line, if we get down to the middle of this line here and the middle of this line, or sorry, the bottom of this line. So these two lines that I've circled here, right around this area. And again, this is the time period that it's kind of playing into. If we get down to those areas, I really think this is kind of like the end all be all. This is where everything will play out if it's going to get nasty, right? And now I do want to take a look on these closer charts. That's why I zoomed in. You kind of see somewhat of a little BART thing. And guys, the reason I talked about manipulation in the beginning of the video is because I think, the BART pattern is a very clear indicator, or just a pattern you see when the markets are more and more being played. It would not surprise me, if I was a whale, because everyone manipulates the market, even somebody with like 5 Bitcoin, right? It might not seem like it, or sorry, $5 worth of Bitcoin, or even 5 Bitcoin, because that's not too much. If I was going to manipulate the market, what would be something I would do? If I really wanted, if I had millions and millions of dollars and I just wanted to play with it in Bitcoin and manipulate it, in the terms of that word, what would I do? Well, one thing's for sure, I'll tell you the first thing I would do. I would go online and I would look to see what people are saying. What is this consensus of everyone? What does everyone think is going to happen? You're going to look at the charts as well. Well, what do the charts say? What do the charts think is going to happen? So those are two big things, looking at the charts and then also just seeing what everyone is saying. Maybe looking at the biggest YouTube channels. What are they saying? And then maybe playing into their technical analysis and overall maybe trying to do the opposite in some way, shape, or form of what they expect or what makes sense. Isn't that kind of almost a definition of manipulation, right? So it would be silly to think that there are people out there with massive amounts of money that are moving the market and are not looking at videos and are not looking at charts online on TradingView and all these places. It would be silly to say they are not doing that. Because in my opinion, it's pretty obvious that they would be doing that, because why would you not? It would benefit that person so much, guys. And this is finance we're talking about. This is a serious topic. Of course they're going to want to do that. right? It just makes sense. So with that being said, these type of BART patterns that we see, whether it's like a big pump, sideways trading, and then down, again, this isn't a classic example of a BART pattern, but it's just something that's happened recently. So for me, it's a good way to kind of illustrate it instead of going back and looking for other ones of just massive pumps and then dumps. This type of thing is unnatural, but it's also natural considering manipulation is ingrained into a market. There will always be manipulation, right? Everyone knows that in every market. It might be worse, might be less prominent in some markets, especially smaller ones like Bitcoin and crypto. So that's something to keep in mind. But again, something to notice here, as of right now, we have essentially moved this candle down to where the start of the second day of the pump was, right around here. But something also really interesting to note, guys, this 200 EMA is a key right here. Key figure right here, guys. And we have clearly found support on it. Not to mention, we found massive support at the bottom of this trend line down here, or like the bottom of this market structure here. So again, that reaffirms for me, this is super bullish. Again, these things coalescing here. We saw one of the biggest pumps in a day in the history of Bitcoin here. One of the biggest pumps. We can't discount that. You know, it took 3 days, but it was absolutely wild. So that's something we have to keep in mind there. And to me, to sum up the video, this area in here, this is kind of like the key area, guys. We don't have much left before we are possibly going to pop off. So it's really exciting. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.